Righty tighty, hey folks, hope you are well. So it's been a while, been all over the place, now back in the office, and today this is simply a business Ask Me Anything live session. We're not doing crypto. I'm about to do a 2-hour live session for crypto to my students at 2 o'clock, so no crypto questions unfortunately. And today we are going to talk about business self-help. So a lot of people spend a lot of money going to gurus or etc. to get help for their business. I've done it in the past for quite a lot, and the reason why I'm doing this is because it can become a bit of a crutch if you're not careful. So there was a period where, when I say a period, like probably 5 years, where all I did was rely on my mentors at the time. So I was doing all sorts of business networking groups, business coaches, mastermind groups, etc. This is like back in 2010, etc. I didn't know anything about business, so I thought, right, I needed to have some sort of guru to help me. And what happened is that I was sort of muddling my way through business, and every time I had a hiccup or an error, I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And I was completely incapable of making any decision myself. So I would pause on that question or that hiccup and go, oh my god, I'll have to wait until XYZ tells me what to do. So I'd go to the guru or whatever, the business coach, and go, this is the problem, what do I do? Now, in hindsight, most people don't really know what they're doing. Most business coaches, most trading coaches, most coaches are pretenders to a degree. and they honestly, they don't know the best answer, and the reason being is that in business everything is data, right? So it's all about speed of decisions. So if you have a problem, come up with 2 or 3 different solutions, and then obviously pick the one which you think has the highest probability of success. But you need to execute fast. So if it is incorrect, you go, okay, that was wrong, let's do the next one. And it's simply data. You simply act very fast and execute as best as you can, and let the data tell you what is right or not. So for example, a lot of people have pricing questions, like, I have a product, how much should I price it for? Well, instead of just waiting for some guru to say, oh yeah, definitely use this price, use the market itself. So when I say the market, as in your customer base. So to begin with, if you're starting off completely fresh, give it away for free. Give however many products or hours of your time or whatever it is for free. You get feedback from those people, and then you can slowly eke up the price. And so the point where you're not getting any customers or new sales or at all, you've overpriced yourself. Well, it's not just that. So here's another thing. Whenever you hit a stumbling block, it spins off a whole bunch of different other questions. So is the price too expensive? Or is your messaging and your offering not that good? Because it could be a mix of both. So, but let's say you're pretty confident with your product, your service, and you know it can definitely help. Then it may be just a pricing issue. So slowly eke up the price. Now, so that's just one bad example, but so yeah, don't lean on anyone to make your decisions. You need to be the person coming up with the decisions, and even if you're not confident with your decisions, over a couple of years of just going, right, I'm going to choose this, let's go, oh, didn't work, let's do this, by trial and error, you'll become a pretty capable business person on your own. And I basically span my wheels in the mud for 4 or 5 years, just always relying on others, right? Going, oh, I wonder what my mentor says. And then the other issue you have is that having multiple mentors, not a good idea. And the reason being is I'd have, let's say 2, sometimes 3 different mentors. I'd have a problem. I go, hey, what should I do in this situation? One mentor says this way, one mentor says this way. And you're like, oh shit. Who do I believe in now? Do I go with A or B? And then if you end up going A, mentor B is going to be pissed off, going, well, why did you do that? I said to do this. And then all of a sudden, you can fall out with your coaches, because the mentor's going, oh, this bloody Siam doesn't listen to a word I say. I'm not going to, waste my time anymore. So I want to go through some things, some questions. So I've always got I've always got all sorts of different things in my back pocket, just scribbles and notes, etc. And I found an old scribble which I've kept in my sort of back pocket for a while now. And these are typically the stream of questions I sort of ask myself when either my business is in trouble or things are going great and I got business prosperity questions. So would you like to go through the questions? I'm guessing yes. So let's do this. Now I'm gonna have to move screens around. How do I share my doodle pad? I'm guessing it's this one. Share screen. Whee! Here we go. I'm looking at YouTube on my left-hand screen, see if the things catch up. There is a bit of a lag. Yes, there is. Cool. So you can see my doodles. Lovely, jubbly. And again, if you have any questions, just pop them in the YouTube chat. I can see the questions coming up. So I'll come on to eyeballs in a bit. I want to do the questions first. I want to get them out of the way, and then I'll talk about the eyeballs. So business in distress. Now, unfortunately, due to my bad planning of time, I haven't been able to write out all of the questions in advance. So here's the first one. So, is your business in distress? Let's go through these questions. There's only 10. And so I want you to become your own business coach. Okay? So you need to basically, if your business is in distress or you want to do better, get out of your office. That's the most important thing. Get out of the office and go somewhere completely alien. So a coffee shop, so away from your staff, your family, your friends. Just go somewhere different. Just take your dog if you've got to find a cafe. Go and get a nice cup of coffee with a big piece of paper, and then just go through these questions. So, first one: what have you done or not done to get you in this situation? Now, you need to stop being a snowflake dick for this question, because everyone is a freaking whinging snowflake whiner these days, and no one has any accountability whatsoever. So if you're going to play the victim mindset, you're screwing yourself over on this first question already, because you'll say to yourself, what have you not done, or what have you done to get yourself in this situation? And you'll be like, oh, well, nothing's my fault. It's the economy and COVID has killed me, and no one's buying anything anymore because everyone's scared. It's not my fault. Well, it is your fault. Everything in business is your fault. So stop whinging, get over yourself, and stop being a victim. You have not done certain things. So let's say you are a typical business owner that's whinging about COVID, lockdowns, stuff like that. And by the way, I've had businesses that have closed down due to COVID and all of the lockdowns. I've got a bunch of businesses that are not performing right now. It's all my fault. Because instead of blaming COVID and lockdowns, you should blame yourself for not having enough foresight to have actions on, or an action plan to combat that, like, etc., etc. So anyway, let's stick to track before So what have you done? So you could have done something really bad that has screwed over your business, or what have you not done? Have you put in some standard operating procedures, SOPs, to make what you probably haven't had certain SOPs that has sort of got you into a spot of bother. Or have you not pivoted your product? Because you can't have one product and keep it the same forever. Because what may work over a certain epoch may not work in future time periods. So you may need to evolve. So if you take the realistic trader, I guess it's been a very similar sort of product for a long time, but we've had to pivot or change as times progress. So we are a crypto trading community, and we no longer do FX, mainly because I can't talk about it due to legislation and all that. But yeah, what have you not done really? it's not often it's not the case that you've done something wrong and it's blown up the business. It's more of the time it's what have you not done, or what have you just completely forgotten. Right, number 2. It's going to take a while because I can't draw. Right, would doing or not doing that help things? So would doing / not doing that help things? Again, these two questions sort of play on the same sort of thing. What have you done? What have you not done? Would doing that again help, etc., etc. So let's move on. Number 3 is what is actually paying the bills right now? And this is a question which I think is very important no matter at what stage of business you're in, because what is actually paying the bills right now? What's buying your clothes, your food, your utilities, etc.? Because if you're someone starting out, you could have a job, let's say, and you're doing your main job and you're trying to set up a side hustle. Well, what's paying your bills? It's your job income. So whatever you do, you mustn't jeopardize that until your life raft, your life raft of a business is watertight. So I wouldn't jump ship just yet like I did. When I jumped ship way too early, I jumped out of my perfectly great ship into not even a paddling boat. I literally just jumped into the ocean. I left my job way too soon and I was broke within 6 months. So yeah, you've got plenty of time. You're going to live over 100 years old most likely, if all goes well. But there's no great rush. I've lived my life with my hair on fire, trying to go, I'm going too slow. But you can actually just chill out a bit because we've got many years ahead of yourself. So even if you're delaying your inevitable part-time business by an extra few years, just so your transition is a lot smoother and safer, then go for it. Especially if you've got family. If you're a single bloke, single person, you can take more risks. But if you've got wife, kids, and all that sort of stuff, you got to do that transition a lot slower. Now let's move up a couple of levels. Let's say you're a business owner, and a bit like myself, who have lots of different irons in the fire. So what this may, and I've screwed myself over loads of times doing this, where I'll have a business, it's doing well, I then get bored, or I then have shiny object syndrome, like, I'm going to go and do this. I then divert all my time and attention and focus into this new shiny project, and then what happens to the thing that actually pays the bills? That starts dropping. So all of a sudden I'm spinning all of these plates, and some plates start dropping, and then oh shit! So you go back to try and pick up or keep the original plate spinning, and in that time, because you've just lost track of your new project doesn't really kick off, etc., etc. So one of the things that I in hindsight now tell myself is that do not. And by the way, I break my own rules all the time. So that's the thing. You can have rules, but are you going to stick to your own rules? So one of the things I would implore you to do is that don't go and set up a new project or a new thing until your existing thing is chucking out at least 10 or 20 grand a month net cash flow, because and you have staff in place. So the reason why it's a lot safer for me to go and play around with some other projects is because I've got a core business that is most of the time reliable and steady Eddie with staff, and it has good cash flows, and that allows me to play with other stuff. But you cannot be someone that is, let's say, in a job and then trying to play with like 10 different projects at once. You just got to find something, go full hog with it, and if it fails, great, just give up and move on to the next thing. Just pivot. I know people don't like the word giving up. It's pivoting. So yeah, don't forget the things that's actually paying the bills right now. Do not jeopardize that. Another thing that could help is what needs to happen to dramatically reduce costs, because that will actually help reduce costs. And the key word is dramatically. Like shaving off a couple of 50 quid here and there is not going to move the boat really. What can you do to dramatically reduce costs? Especially if you're in a position where your business is actually bleeding cash. Now, I should have actually changed this. This is not business in distress. This is business in stress. So business is not doing that well, but it's not in distress. I've got a whole new set of questions for business in distress stuff. That's when shit's about to liquidate, all that sort of stuff. But that's another thing. So and the key principle here is with reducing costs is that, just keep this in mind, if you have a business which has a 10% net margin, in order to double your profits, you only need to reduce outgoings by 11.11%. Crazy, right? So if you have a 10% net margin business, if you want to double your profits, literally double them overnight, just reduce your outgoings by 11.11% and you'll be great. Now, a lot of you are thinking, wait a minute, Siam, I don't trust your maths here. Well, I'm shit at maths, but let's go through this. Let's say you have a business that, let's say you're doing 20k a month in revenue. You've got 16k per month in outgoings, and therefore you've got, let's actually say 18. Let's make it easier. 18, probably not done the best numbers here. So you've got a business that makes £2,000 a month in profit, right? So I'm being very basic here, right? So let's just income, outgoings, what's left? £2,000 a month. So £2,000 a month on 20, that means you have a 10% net margin business, right? Now, what needs to happen to double your outgoings, your profits? So let's just do this same thing. So in order to end up with £4,000 a month, which is double your profits, and let's say your revenue is still the same, this is simple algebra, I guess, what needs to happen? Well, your outgoings need to be 16k per month, yeah? So when you do the maths, I'm really bad with percentage, decrease, increase, all that, so I always get it confused. But when you do the maths, reducing your outgoings from 18k a month down to 16k a month is, I think it, off the top of my head, is about 11.11%. It looks like 10% decrease, but it's not. Let's just give it a stab, because I am rubbish. 2,000 divided by 18, because it's a 2,000k drop from 18k, equals 11.11%. times 100, 11.11%. Ta-da! Honestly, there's so many times I've gone in to buy businesses, because I used to do a lot of M&A, where I'd go into distressed businesses, and a distressed business, they probably have no margin, right? They have like 5% net margin or 1% or whatever, and all you need to do, the first thing I did was, right, let's just cut costs dramatically, and just shaving costs by 10% or 11.11%. You've doubled your profit overnight. Boom. Now, remember, it's not the same if the net margin is higher. So if you have like a 20% net margin business, off the top of my head, you need to basically reduce your outgoings, outgoings by about 25%. You can do the maths, but this is a biggie. This question normally works if you do it right. So question number 5. What needs to happen to increase rev? to increase revenue. So yeah, it's not, you mustn't just focus on the outgoings. How can you increase revenue? How can you increase revenue? And there's so many things that you can do. Here's the annoying thing. So many things you can do, but not everything will work. Like I'm in a position at the moment where I've got a couple of businesses that are in stress, not distress, stress. And it's hard actually to increase revenue. It really is. Because how you get customers is quite tricky these days, especially with all the ad costs or your cost per acquisition spiraling out of control due to Apple and Facebook having that chat. But here's the other thing, going back to my old M&A days, like you could get a stressed out business. Let's go back to this example where to double the profits, you've just reduced your outgoings by 11.11%. Or if you then increase your profits by say 10%, which isn't that much, what then happens? So 20k times 1.1, you're now increasing your rev to 22k per month. Your outgoings are now 16k per month, and all of a sudden, boom, your profit's now $6,000 a month. So, and then that's what, like so almost a 300%, is that right? So $4,000, that's the difference from $2,000 to $6,000 divided by $2,000. Yeah, so it's a 200% growth. See, that always gets bloody maths. That always catches me out, because going from $2,000 to $6,000 to me it just looks like a 300% growth because you've effectively 3x'd it, but actually it's a 200% growth. My brain is so stupid. I just wish my brain wasn't that stupid sometimes. So yeah, just little tweaks, 10% here and there on low margin businesses can work wonders. So yeah, what needs to happen to increase revenue? So there's a whole bunch of different things like you can. So really, there's offline. You can categorize this into offline / online. So the offline stuff are things like networking. I'm going to write time over here so I don't forget it. There's networking, there's leaflets, or I like lumpy mail, etc., where you're sending big lumpy packages full of other stuff, just to put money in the thank bank, so to speak. So there's all that sort of stuff. You can try and reach out and do JVs with other people that may help. And then the online stuff is basically paid ads. I guess you could do like JV. I guess JVs you can do offline or online stuff. But really, online is it's paid ads or interviews, like doing blogs. Going on other guests' podcasts and stuff like that. But the problem is, if you're a business in stress and you're needing to increase revenue or reduce outgoings quickly, a lot of these things are very time intensive, or they may not be time intensive, but they take time to come into fruition. Like if you're doing ads, yeah, you can get some instant results, but again, you need money for that. If your business is has no spare cash, you can't then use that for ads. So that's a bit tricky. JVs and interviews and all these other things, they just take a long time. So they're things that you definitely should be doing, but you may not see results for months. So yeah, it's hard. And someone, Jupe, has said, do you mainly go for paid traffic immediately? I personally do, yep. Or start with organic and make your way up. Yeah, organic is hard, right? It really is, and it's not as easy as just setting up a YouTube channel and talking and stuff. Like if you look at my personal YouTube channel, I've been basically producing videos at the minimum once a week, 1 or 2 a week for 4 years now, something like that, and I've only got 30,000 subscribers. So there's two things there. Either the world is telling me that I'm shit and that the stuff I have to say isn't valuable, or two, I haven't used the algorithm properly. And I think it's a mild case of the both. I personally have not manipulated the YouTube algorithm, because what YouTube wants is a channel that just does one thing. So you pick one thing, like crypto charting, and every video has to just be crypto charting. And then YouTube can basically put you in their pigeonhole and go, oh, that's the crypto charting person. Then anyone searching for crypto charts or whatever, it then promotes you to their recommended watch videos, etc. And that's how your channel expands. But because I'm talking about everything, I talk about business and M&A and crypto and macroeconomics and like all that sort of stuff, YouTube doesn't have a clue what to do with me. So yeah, hence why I guess I've done it on purpose, which I know from a business point of view maybe I shouldn't have, but hey ho. So yeah, the Institute of 3D Printing. Oh hey mate, that's Ed, isn't it? Hey Ed. Oh, by the way, a little shout out to Ed. Ed is a top chap who runs, what is it? I can never get it. It's 3D IOP, is it? Let's find it. 3D IOP. Ah, oh, jeez. What is your URL, mate? 3diop.com? Nope. I can't find your URL. If you can just type it, mate, that would be grand. IO3DP. IO3DP.com. I always like doing little shout outs when credit is due. So, yeah, I'll quickly do a quick divert. Basically, I'm really interested in 3D printing, and I want to get my wife into 3D printing because she has a business which 3D printing would do wonders for. And if anyone is interested in learning about 3D printing and stuff like that, Ed knows his shit. So here it is, io3dp.com. Yeah, he literally knows everything, and it's not as simple. From what I've looked into it, it's not as simple as just buying a 3D printer that comes up on your Facebook ads or whatever. There's so much more to it, from the code, or not the coding, but the design, what filaments to use, what volume you're going to use, put through your yeah. So have a little look at that. Ed is a top chap. Where's your face, mate? Honestly, you need to put your face and a bit about yourself on here. People buy people. They don't buy faceless corporations. Well, they do, but they prefer to buy from someone that they can see. So, if just my 2 pennies, you should have your face all over this. And go, hey, this is me. Video of how you got into 3D printing and what it's done for you and your life and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We're literally redesigning the homepage with lots of my face shortly. Cool. Right, so going back to your previous question, you talk about paid ads, which, as you say, is tricky to work. How well does organic work for you? Obviously, have a following, but can be really hard to convert. Yeah, it is. Organic is so tough. It is so tough, and you need a lot more followers than I do to get a good organic thing. So, and let's take the realistic trader. So it's very seasonal. So when cryptos are booming, guess what? My YouTube channel does all right, and lots of organic people join my community from YouTube. When there's a bear market, everyone goes, ah, and then all of a sudden new members dry up. It should be the other way around. Like if petrol prices and food prices halved overnight, there was a massive crash in prices with food, petrol, and stuff like that, what would everyone do? They wouldn't just hide in their homes. You'd have riots in bloody Walmart and Asda, and people buying flat screen TVs, like people, love a fire sale when it comes to stuff like that. But when it's the markets and stocks and crypto, they shit their pants. It's the other way. It should be the other way around. People should be trying to learn and sharpen their sword now, not when it's booming. Anyway, but it's tough. I've got no real answers there. One of the things that I do a lot, the only thing that really works for me is this. I'll show you. So if you go to therealistictrader.com, And as you can see here, the main call to actions I've got on this channel are watch 7 hours of mind-changing videos. So you click that. And then here, basically, I've got a whole bunch of free videos, which you can, I mean, it's like 7 hours worth of really good videos here. But also, don't forget to grab a free copy of this book, the 15K Pop-Tart, blah, 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 blah. So you click that, and we actually send you a physical copy through the post to yourself. And it's not just a book. So we send all sorts of other stuff. We send some other booklets. So you get this big bright blue envelope with a chocolate bar and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously we're just relying on the law of reciprocity here. So we're hoping that we give good value to you for free, completely free, up front. Here's a book, here's some chocolate, here's some other books and stuff like that. And then also some free, videos here, which there's no sign up gateway. You can literally just watch these without, giving any data capture or anything like that. And that if you like what we do, you can sign up. I'm very softly catchy monkey, if that makes sense. I don't like being pushy. You won't have a horrendous email autoresponder that comes up with that. I mean, that pisses me off. But yeah. I'm very soft with my marketing. If you like it, I'm here. If you're not, piss off. Or not piss off, but yeah. So anyway, and it's the same with the WAP. If you look at the WAP, it's sort of the same thing. So here is a 30-day free trial, no payment details required. Again, people don't like payment details and stuff. And you have access to so many videos, it's ridiculous. I'm sort of over delivering here. And again, I guess it could be more forceful, but nah, it's not me. Right, so that's number 5. Again, that's a whole nother topic. I mean, we should have another live session just on increasing revenue. So question number 6 is this. Let's do fatter pen, please. 6. What is stopping you from implementing this right now? What is stopping you from implementing this right now? So, if it's online ads, etc., what's stopping you? It could be money. Okay. I don't see that as a valid reason, and here's why. Let's say you have very little spare funds, right? For online ads, you can set up your whole funnel, your whole ad campaign, and just have a daily ad spend of like £5 a day, or 10 quid a day, or whatever. Like, obviously everything is relative, but honestly, if you can't afford, say, 10 quid a day in ads, I don't know what you're doing in business, really. You should be able to, like, even things are really tight, you should just find ways to just be able to afford 10 quid a day in ads, right? And the reason for that is, with 10 quid a day, that's only £300 per month. I know it may sound a lot, but with 10 quid a day, you can get an amount of eyeballs. So let's say you have a very bad industry, an expensive industry for marketing like myself, where it's I have to pay around £1 a click. So to get a unique visitor to my website, on average, through Facebook ads, let's say it's £1 a click. So that's 10 new people a day. Over a month, that's 300 people a month, unique people that have never seen you before. Now, every business will have a different conversion rate, but let's say, out of 300 people that enter your website, let's say you have a call to action of some sort, like a free book or whatever. Let's say 10% of them get a free copy of your book. That's 30 people have now got your book or your free videos or whatever it is. And let's say 1% of them reaches out for a phone call, not necessarily buy your product, but 1%, that's okay. Let's say 3%. let's fudge the numbers. Let's say of those 30 people, 3% of those people just reach out. That's it's one person roughly a month. One new person a month. Now that person may buy, that person may not. It doesn't matter. But at least with 10 quid a day ad spend, you can get data. You can then start fine tuning stuff. So you have to, because again, this goes back to increasing rev, and I don't want to turn this into an online marketing live session, but like, do you have a traffic issue? That's not necessarily the case. Then do you have a conversion rate issue? So from your new unique visitors, what percentage are getting your call to action? And then what is the conversion rate from the call to action people to signing up or having a phone call or whatever it is? With 10 quid a day ad spend, you can get all of that data. Then when you have some hard data that you can hang your hat on, then it's a case of shit. Okay, I'm pretty damn confident in these funnel metrics. I'm just going to go and borrow some money. And that's how I've always built my businesses. Get some hard data that you can hang your hat on, and then borrow money to plow into ad spend. That's all I've done. So what's stopping you from implementing this right now? It's either going to be money or laziness. That's basically it. Money or laziness. Yeah. Every other excuse, I think, is just bullshit excuse. It could be like, oh, I'm too busy, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I can't do this. It's bullshit. It's prioritization. It's not time. It's always a prioritization issue. So there's nothing stopping you right now setting up some Facebook ads or Google ads or YouTube ads. If you don't know how to do it, freaking learn. There's YouTube here. There's you have YouTube and Google to help. Like, you don't necessarily need to pay someone. Like, just muddle your way through it so you learn enough about it. Then eventually in the future, if you pay someone, then you'll have at least some understanding of what to do, so they don't bullshit you when they're trying to get your retainer fee or whatever it is. So number 7 is, are you feeding yourself bullshit self-limiting lies? Are you being lazy? I sort of stepped on my own toes there. Are you feeding yourself? Are you bullshit self-limiting lies? Are you being lazy? I've asked this question so many times in front, I've done one-to-ones before, or quite a lot, and when I get to this question, because I normally ask somewhere about the same stream of questions, is are you, and most of the time people are, even myself, feeds themselves self-limiting beliefs or lies, and you're just being lazy. In my case, recently, my self-limiting lie or my laziness is directly due to Call of Duty. So yeah, I need to get that out of my system quickly. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Number 8. And also, for those that play COD on a regular basis, please let me know. You can join Geek Club. So yeah, we play most nights. So right, now we get into sort of the actions on part. So write a list. Write a list right now of the things you can do to cut costs. Of the you can do to cut costs. And I would separate these two. I would, if you want, like if you're soft like me, and because I'm very soft in most things, you have non-brutal, and brutal. Now, here's the annoying thing, or not annoying thing. When you're writing this list, you know, non-brutal stuff would be like, stop paying that subscription, blah blah blah, or let's order less of this stock, or blah blah blah, you know. And a brutal one would be redundancy. This person needs to go. I need to put this person to part-time, or just make, it's all the brutal stuff really. Now, unfortunately, the brutal stuff is the stuff that you really need to do, because they're the things that are going to move the needle, right? The non-brutal stuff is like reducing the odd subscription here and there. Yeah, that's fine, but it's not going to move the needle. Most of the time, you need to cut costs big time, like properly. And if you look at the big boys, so look at the big boys, look at all the big tech companies, Amazon, so the FANGs, so Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, Netflix, Tesla, right? What have they been doing for the last 6 months? Relentlessly. They've been firing people left, right and centre. Last night, I think Facebook announced they're going to fire another 10,000 people. They've already fired like thousands of people. And what big tech companies or big enterprises do is that they see a period of stormy weather ahead. Let's say they go, right, over the next 18 months or 12 months, we see a high likelihood of recession or some sort of crash or whatever they do. So what do? They borrow money as cheap as they can, whilst they can, and they cut costs hard. So what they do is they just lay off everyone. They fire thousands of people. So all of a sudden they're now lean. They've got some spare capital so that they can weather the storm. And then if things aren't as bad as they thought, then they can always rehire people. Or if it is bad, then hopefully they've extended their cash runway long enough that they don't go under. So that's what they're doing right now. All the big boys are firing people left, right and centre. They see stuff that we don't see. Maybe we should emulate that. And it's really hard, because if you're soft like me, when I look at a member of staff, I don't look at them like a line item. I look at them like, shit, this job is paying their bills, they got kids to feed, they got a mortgage, they've got car payments, I don't know. And just making someone redundant, I always fall foul of this, because it takes me too long to fire people because I'm soft. And yeah, I have bitter debates with myself going, would I be a more successful business person if I was a bit more brutal? Yeah, I'd have much more money in my pocket, but I don't know, part of me likes being soft, which, yeah. And like, for example, I've got a business at the moment where I potentially need to make a redundancy or change hours or whatever, but I've been sat on that thing, that question for a couple of months now, and I just keep putting my head down under the sand. So that's a toughie. Write a list right now. Yeah, so that's number 8. Number 9 is exactly the same question, but to increase rev. Exactly the same. So big list of things that you can cut, big list of things that you can actually do. So one of the things I always carry on my pockets, like bits of paper that I scribble on every now and then, of what I can do. And I've always got on me 2 lists. Here we go. I've got a growth list, so I write out all the different businesses, and I write out, what I can do, what things are going to make me push the boat faster. And I've also got an error list somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, and I've got another list which is issues. And what I do, I write down all my issues, the things that are keeping me up at night, and I basically get it off my brain onto paper so I can free up some mental space. And then I basically write down all the things that piss me off in life, or the things I need to do. And then every now and then I just cross them off once I've done it. So as you can see, it's like Q1, I've crossed off most of the things on my issues list, which is good. But yeah, I carry all my problems around with me on paper, so I can, hopefully I'm not carrying it around with me in my head. And it also means I don't forget issues. Sometimes if you have an issue and put your head into the sand, those issues can grow into bigger issues. And finally, number 10, the last one is, what SOPs can you implement to prevent this from occurring? Or is it 1R? Yeah, it's 1R. Occurring again. Okay, so you now got a big list of things that you can do to increase your rev, big list of things that you can do to cut outgoings. Now, you don't want to get in this stressful position ever again, so what standard operating procedures can you put in place right now to prevent this from happening again? Can you put in some SOPs where the moment your monthly subscriptions to random stuff gets above, I don't know, $1,000 a month, 10 grand a month, whatever it is, you have a warning, like someone in your team goes, oh Siam, you've got 10 grand a month of random direct debits going out, and then you reassess stuff. Or, you know, can you put an SOP in place to, you know, like, can you add in a simple email autoresponder sequence to potential leads, you know, to have a chat, or, yeah, like, there's so many different SOPs you can do. So yeah, basically, you just need to make sure a lot of the mistakes that you do, it's okay making mistakes. It's not that good making the same mistake twice. It's unforgivable to keep on making the same mistakes over and over again, right? So you need to learn from your mistakes. So just what SOPs can you do to make sure that never happens again? Like, for example, with My Fairy Pen Pal, my wife's business, she's had this mistake constantly where every now and then a certain like product is out of stock and they have to send things out, and she's like, oh my god, we've run out of this thing. I'm like, oh my god, did we not, I was like, did I not say we need to put in an SOP, you know, when a stock gets to say 25% to reorder, whatever? And she said, I did, but X in the office didn't do it. So sometimes you may have SOPs, but then you've got to freaking train the team really hard to make sure that they do the SOPs. So it's all very well just writing some fancy SOPs, but the team, the office, whatever, has to execute on them. And if they don't execute on them, that's a training issue on your behalf. So it's not their fault. It's your fault for not stressing strong enough to that member of the team to keep a better eye on stock levels, or whatever it is. Again, all mistakes are your issue, your problem, no one else's. If a member in your team doesn't perform the way that you want them to, it's not your fault. It's not their fault, it's your fault. One, you've either hired the wrong person, so it's your fault. You know, if they are just a blithering retard, then that's your fault because you hired that person in the first place. So, oh my god, I'm probably not allowed to say terms like that, but yeah. So, yeah, and if they're still not cutting the mustard, if that makes sense, then you got to keep on retraining. If they still can't hit the levels you require, then you need to get rid of them. But yeah, again, I guess the key thing here is everything's your fault. Now, 10 minutes, shit. I don't have enough time to go through the prospering questions. They're the more fun questions. When things are going well, how can you make things better? I'll have to do that another time. But hopefully these questions are handy. And most gurus or most business coaches or whatever will probably run through the similar-ish questions. But I guess sometimes the key things here is that when, like, I know I've slated business gurus a lot here, but here's one thing that you will get from them if you do have a coach is that, yes, going through these questions yourself is great because you're getting things out in the air, but sometimes you need a little Sherpa to go, oh, what about this? What about this? Have you thought of this? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's that. Can I do 1 second? Oh, yeah, here's something. Just a shameless plug. So, if you go to... it's not shameless because I can actually help. If you go to siamkid.io, you'll see a cheesy blog type thing. It's got, RT, the WAP, the two main things here. But also, I do one-to-one sessions. I don't like doing one-to-one sessions. I've always hated one-to-one sessions because it's a big, it's a lot of time But yeah, I do them, and I price them enough. So again, this goes back to a pricing thing. If you don't want to do something really, then price it so you don't get many of those products or sales, etc. Or price it to the point where if someone does book in a one-to-one, you're excited to do it. So in business, I'm always looking for things that you're excited to do. So here's one. I'm excited to do these now. So I do half-day sessions, one-to-one sessions, and I just make it fun. So we spend half a day chatting about anything you want, trading, business, M&A, whatever. And just to make it fun, I will drive us to the local airfield. We'll jump in a helicopter and I'll fly us to a random hotel or restaurant or land for a cup of tea, cup of coffee, maybe some scones, I don't know. Keep on chatting about stuff, and then we'll fly home. We'll fly back to base, and again, maybe go to lunch or something. That way we spend a nice 4 or 5 hours together chatting about stuff. We get to go flying, and yeah. So if you want to have a helicopter one-to-one session, let me know. I always like to fly. And the key thing here for the CAA, you're not paying for the helicopter flight, you're paying flight time in consulting. This is just a jolly. Just like I'm driving you to a coffee shop, I'm just going to fly us to a coffee shop. Right, what time is it? 13:51. Let's go through the questions. Ed, you play? Do you track how much people go through those videos? Yes. So Vimeo, all my stuff is on Vimeo, but if you want some really good video analytics, use Wistia. It's a much more expensive video hosting software, but they got way better analytics, so Wistia. Aurelian Lafont said, hello Simon, I'm working right now. Will there be a replay of this? Yes, I'm recording it right now. Let's double check. Yep, still recording. Institute of Thinking, COD was also my advice. Cool. Well, if you're playing the new COD, let me know. I play every night, and a few of us play every night, and we chat on Discord whilst shooting lots of teenagers. So sorry, it sounds really bad. That Dante's, hey Simon, I'm interested to know your perspective on how you develop the discipline needed to consistently follow through on your goals. Yeah, it's hard. It's something that you can't just flip straight away. You've got to link it to your passion and drive, right? So I have certain targets which I really freaking need to hit before I'm 40 years old, which is in 3 years' time. And I've got other goals which I really need to hit by the time I'm 50 years old. So I have these big lofty goals, and I then put in the realistic mini steps in place in order to hit those mini goals. And the way that I then execute on that, so I'll have a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, then I don't execute from a piece of paper. I put them into my calendar. So I'm not going to show my calendar because it's private, but I use Google Calendar, right? So if you have a task to do, you just you put that into your calendar, right? Don't just keep it on a piece of paper. I do have lots of pieces of paper, but I then put that into my calendar, and that way I know, right, today for the next 2 hours I'm going to be doing blah. And so every day you'll tick off 1 or 2 things. So yeah, you work out of your calendar, not a notebook. That way you know when stuff's going to get done. Ed says, Snap, it never seems to get easier, but I find it's too mental taxing to carry around. Another emotional cost, yeah. Adam, intelligent eating. Most biz coaches, gurus don't, Siam. Huh? And they charge 10 to 50 times the cost of the WAP. Oh yeah, thanks mate. Quotability, is this live or recording? This is live, buddy. It's the 15th of March at 13:54. I've got to go. I've got a 2-hour live trading session now, so I've got to go very quickly. Hey Simon, what do you advise someone who has no money for his or her name? I would go to the WAP and do the 30-day free trial. No payment details required. There's so many videos in this intro section. You will learn loads. Yeah, so we've just gone through all these questions. Eyeballs. Okay, so very quickly, just to end the video, everyone's obsessed with the idea, right? Everyone's like, oh, what idea do I need to do in business? What idea? It's irrelevant. It really is. Don't, like, most people enter, or they've never been in business, they want to get into business, and they die on the first hurdle. And that hurdle is, well, what is the business idea? It's freaking irrelevant. What you need to do is understand how to get eyeballs on a website. That is the very first thing you need to do. How to get eyeballs on a website. And so what this means, you need to learn marketing, basically. Online or offline marketing. So if it's online that you want to focus on, then learn Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, etc. Whilst learning those ads, how to do those things, you'll realize what sort of stuff gets clicks, what doesn't. And then when you have that parameter, that little mindset on, what works, what doesn't work, then when you're looking at your business ideas, you can bounce it off those parameters. Will this work here? And also basic business metrics. I always use the muffin analogy or cookie analogy. Like, I want to sell muffins. Okay, well, how big is your oven? How many muffins can you make per day? How many hours per day are you willing to work? What are you going to price them at? How much is it going to cost you to drive traffic to your website? How much money are you going to have left after you've paid for your ad spend and all that? And yeah, so like all these marketing metrics and business metrics will help get your eventual idea. Yeah, right. I've got to go. 4 minutes to roll for my next thing. So for the realistic traders right now, I'll see you on Zoom. We've got so much to talk about with crypto, and I hope everyone, for those who've been on this self-coaching thing, I hope this really helps. And I will see you soon. I'll put the recording of this as soon as I can. Toodles. Bye. Oh dear, now I always figure out how do I turn this off. Right, stop screen share, that's the first thing, and end stream. Bye.